Well, the region has been at peace generally with each other. There are some problems here and there among neighbors, but otherwise the spirit of ASEAN, the spirit of the community, has been quite helpful in putting the region together. Now it's 10 countries, 10 economies, $2.7 trillion US trade, 620 million people and growing. Of course, there's a growing concern about extremism, about divisiveness, polarization of the communities that you mentioned. But on the whole, I think the leaders and the countries, member states, are quite aware of the challenge. And I think each and every one of them carries this concern and trying to address the problems inside. And, for example, the issue of the Rohingyas in Myanmar, when it became very, very violent, the ASEAN ministers got together and tried to talk things out, and they have come up with some projects of help, of assistance, of accessibility into the region, into the area, led by Indonesia. Now, Malaysia certainly has adopted another approach, but I think on the whole, I think the region is very much aware of the risk of polarization of the two communities. Half of ASEAN is Muslim, the other half is a mixture of everything else. And I think the leaders are conscious of that they don't want the region, the community, to be divided on the basis of the diversity of religions, of faiths. External players can help, can certainly make a contribution, can encourage the communities, the leaders of the communities, to interact with each other and learn to accommodate and avoid extremism on both sides. Right. And I think we have been doing that. Knowing that integration will require, effective integration will require a certain body of rules and norms that would help us accommodate each other. So far, that has worked, but I think going forward, another level of integration, of economic development, we may need more of a rule-based approach that each member state will have to adhere, respect, and comply to the rules and the norms and the agreements that they have made, they have committed to each other. That, I think, will require a bit of an encouragement. And I think the fact that the Charter itself refers to those things that you have just mentioned, principles of democracy, respect for human rights, people-oriented and rule-based, and creating institutions in order to help us move into the future as an integrated region. Now, in order to do that, you have to accommodate each other. You have to make some flexibility with each other because of the diversity that we have to manage. There's an extreme degree of diversity in every which way that you want to talk about, you want to look at in ASEAN. Governance is not a requirement that you have to be a democracy. You have to commit yourself to principles of democracy and the respect for human rights and the rule of law. As long as you commit yourself, you are qualified to come into the community, which is different from Europe. That's true. Yeah. Even different from some other regions. I mean, the African Union has a clause called automaticity. That is, if you change your government unconstitutionally, undemocratically, you are out of the membership. You don't have that in ASEAN. We don't have that. We try to accommodate each other if Michael Wachikotis says it's bending the rule and making accommodation, he's right. But that has served us for the last 50 years. I think we are talking about the next 50 years. I think things will have to improve, will have to change. We will have to come to the norms and the agreed values and principles in order to really make the best out of the opportunities that we have as a region sandwiched between two giants, China and India, and center of economic growth of the global community, not just East Asia. So in that sense, we have that responsibility to evolve forward on a rule-based approach and with norms and with principles and regulations that we agree to and we have to comply with. So I think it requires us to do better than the last 50 years. So far, so good. The challenges would be how to get to the next level of integration and development. That will require a different set of norms and rules. Everyone is committed to the principles, the norms of democracy, but they are doing it differently. I think each is seeking effective governance with respect to the general will of the people, ways and modalities of participation may be different, but I think they are aware of the fact that people want a larger space for them to engage, and governments have to deliver. So effective governance is probably more of a focus than democratic governance or liberal democratic governance as we know it. But I think with the new technology and IT, internet, social media, I think all governments realize that they can't just take it for granted, that the people will submit, people will be passive, people will tolerate into the future. I think they want a larger room, larger space to participate. The challenge is how to define, how to design such a space for participation. That's, I think, what each and every member state of ASEAN is going through, deliberating on that issue. And certainly IDEA can help. IDEA can certainly make a contribution with all the resources, all the intellectual capacity that IDEA has accumulated during the last 20 plus years. I think it will be helpful. There is only one more country that is being considered, and that is East Timor. It was born out of the goodwill of ASEAN. I mean, we help nurture East Timor into a state, into a modern state, of course, in cooperation with the UN, with the international community. And it is in the middle of Indonesia. It's in the middle of ASEAN, so there's no reason why East Timor should be kept out. The only remaining question is when. When is East Timor ready, and when the 10 member states of ASEAN feel that it's time for East Timor to join. The rest are not in Southeast Asia. So it was 10 complete. Then there's this state called East Timor, youngest coming into being. So we have to think about that. So expanding would mean just one more state. But that does not take away, I think, our focus on, exactly, working with the dialogue partners, working with the region, ASEAN plus 3, China, Japan, Korea, ASEAN plus 6, including India, Australia, and New Zealand, that would be 6, plus dialogue partners from far away. And I think the challenge is how to concentrate, focus on the integration process. so far, it's only 25% trade out of $2.7 trillion a year. Only 25% is being traded among the 10 member states, and mostly among the older member states. It's Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, more than Singapore and Myanmar, or more than Indonesia and Laos, for example. So we have to open up to each other. We have to streamline our integration process. We have to invest in each other more, and we certainly have to allow people to move more freely on the landscape, because goods and services cannot move unless people can move. Now people can visit each other without visas, but you need business people, you need entrepreneurs, you need investment to move, capital to move, in order to really integrate the market, so that our middle class is the real expanding with rising purchasing power for the global trade, global business. So far, it's been doing well, but I think we need to do more, and that's the challenge for the next 20, 30 years.